Okay, I got the stave today from Esty. We're having a big storm coming, and I ran into the post office guy, and he was happy to give it to me because he would have been delivering this in the middle of the downpour, torrential downpour rains and 60-mile-an-hour winds, because he comes to the house later. The one thing is, it's a little smaller than I thought, but it's got really big, nice growth rings. So what I'm going to do is take down this sapwood the most I can until the rain comes, and then we'll continue it. So let's see. This is the hardest part, is using the draw knife to get the sapwood and the bark off. The bark's off already. All right? And we've got to see what we're going to wind up with. And then once we get down, once I get this scraped off, which is going to take me a while because I'm old and slow, I'll start recording again. Okay, we're working on taking off that sapwood still. And this is the most physically demanding part of the whole deal. What I like is sculpting the handle. I like tillering it. But this requires really a lot of physical work. So if you're a little older, pace yourself, or if you can, buy one that's taken down to the growth ring already, okay? But just to give you an idea, peaks of the orange coming through. And then this is the end that I didn't do yet. Look how thick it is, you know? And it requires a lot of work. Once again, when you're getting close, instead of using the draw knife like this and it digs in, you can kind of use it as a scraper and hold it up. And look, see, I'm using it like a scraper. And you see all these little pin knocks? Well, I learned my lesson on the first one. You have to be careful around these pin knocks, because you can grab them and actually rip up a big piece of wood, you know. So look how nice, you see these curls? You see how nice it's coming up? And I'm going around carefully around these pin knocks, nice and gentle. All right. Yeah, I feel a couple of raindrops coming down, but look, it's getting there. You know, it's a lot of work. You know, it's a lot of work. It's a couple days worth of work here just to get this down to the growth ring, you know. And once I get it down a little more, and I work on it a little more next, you know, dry day we get, you use the cabinet scrapers. They're little pieces of metal, and scrape it. You can get it really down nice to the orange. So what I'm going to do is flip it around now. I won't even show you. And I have that thick end. I'm going to just try and knock some of that off the thick end, even if it starts raining. So we'll continue this on a dry day. Okay, it's the second day. I had this in the house drying, and you know, or in the house, and I guess the little thin layer of sapwood dried, and there was some crack lines in it. I went, oh man, what happened? The stave cracked, but it was just in the sapwood. As I scraped and got down, they disappeared. So I got the draw knife backwards, right? I'm being gentle, I'm scraping. Right, you gotta be careful around these pin knots, right? And then I got these card scrapers, these cabinet scrapers. Okay, these things work great. So I'm gonna be working on this. Hopefully, I'll be able to draw a line on this in another hour or so, and see how it lines up, how it looks for a template. All right, but look, see how nice this works here? And once again, even with these, there's a lot of these little pin knots. I have to be careful, because if it catches it and it rips up, it takes a chunk of wood with it, and then you gotta go back to square one and get another growth ring. And this isn't that thick, this is thin stave. And I figure I can get away with this thin stave because I'm only going to make a 35-pound bow. But we'll try. That's the idea. So I'm going to shut this off now. No sense in you watching me do all of this, but these things really work good. But you can see now I'm down to the Osage. Okay, you can see that those lines that were in the wood were from the sapwood because they're gone now. I scraped them off with the cabinet scraper and the draw knife. Okay, soon we're going to lay it out and then cut it out. Okay, today's the second day with this stave, and I got it all cleaned up and I have it laid out and trimmed up. And the problem is the handle is not going to be big enough, and it's got some cuts in it. And when I spoke to the guy with the stave, he sent me a block because I told him, you know, I wanted the big handle, and he said this is a real good piece, but you may have to put a, you know, glue on a block, shape it, and you know, make the handle the way you want. Okay, we're going to sand it flat now. I want to sand it. Okay, I got to sand the center flat. Okay, here's the center, and we got it flat so we can glue the block on. Okay, now we got the handle to glue up. Just gonna rough sand it quick, and then we're gonna glue it up. Okay, just a little more sanding, and I got it to fit pretty good. See? I'm gonna glue it, and then tomorrow's another day. Okay, we're in the house now, and I put a string the length of the stave. And on these Osage bows, you know, because they're twisted and crooked and everything, when you put the string on the center and the end where the tip is and all the way up on the other end, the string always favors one side. And that's the side that you're going to put the shelf on. If you're righty, you know, that you'll know where to put the shelf on. You want to put the shelf on the left-hand side. Okay? Okay, I have it marked on the side where this is going to go. This is going to be the top. Okay? So the string favors this side, so this is going to be the top where I'm going to have the cutout for the shelf. Okay, see, it's all pre-marked, and it fits pretty good. So now we're just going to glue it up. Okay. There we got this pretty much glued. There we go. We're going to put it on now. That's where it goes. Okay, and what I did was outside, this will wipe up, this glue wipes up really good. But what I did outside was I cut some paint stirrers, and that's where the compression is going to be on these paint stirrers. So move down a little bit more. Paint stir over here. Okay, let's check it out, see how it looks. Give it a little realigning. How's this side? This side's flush, and this side's pretty flush here too. Loosen it here. Just get it where I want it. And then we'll sand it flush. It's okay to have a little overhanging on each side, but I don't want to be short on one side for when I sand it. So let's see. Yeah, that'll work. Okay, looks good. Okay, good morning. I got the block glued on, and I'm just going to, gently sand it smooth, and got a little work to do on the limbs, maybe put the tips and grooves in today. Okay. Okay, coming out good. I won't bore you with the rest, but I'll show you the next update. Okay, I believe I got everything where I want it to be, and then I'm going to mark the string grooves. This is the top where the shelf's going to go. Okay, see how the joints came out nice that I sanded? Right, they look really nice, right? Okay, we got the limbs kind of even going down. I marked 1 inch down where I'm going to put the 45. So I'm going to put a 45 down. Okay. Okay. So the belly of the bow goes towards your belly. The back is the front. So from the back to the belly is going to be 45 degrees down towards the handle. So I'm going to mark them with a pencil, and then we're going to cut them, and I'll show you how we do that. Okay, just a little note before I start cutting the string grooves in here. I relayed the center line, and like I said, these bows, they prefer one side or the other, and that's the side that you would put the shelf on. Okay, I don't know if you can see that out here in this light, but that's the side you would put the shelf on. So you don't want it all the way on one side because you want the limbs to kind of twist evenly. So what I do is, it was so much excessive on this side, and I'm making a 35-pound bow, was I took some of the meat off of this side of the bow evenly. Okay, and what that did was, just by taking the wood in a little bit, made it a little more acceptable the way I wanted for center. So when I put pressure on these limbs and twist the limbs, even though these particular bows have really thick limbs, they'll twist straight. They won't twist crooked, okay? So now let's move on to this here. Show you what I did here. Take these off. We're done with this now. Okay, this is a self bow. This is your bow. You make it how thick, how wide, whatever you want. Okay, and this is the fourth one I'm making. I'm not an experienced guy by any means, but I'm just going to give you some measurements. Okay, I went down 1 inch and drew a line, okay? And then from that line, I marked the edge where that line across went. See, I put now these are crooked, so if you put this like this, it's going to be a little crooked. So what you do is measure an inch and measure an inch and use this to draw a line across, okay? You measure an inch from here to here on each side, okay? So once you did that, what you do is, let me tell you how wide the limb is too, by the way. I made both of them the same thickness. So it's 3/4 of an inch, okay? 3/4 of an inch, and I have the center line marked, okay? So it's 3/4 of an inch. So from that inch down, now I use the 45. I don't care if it gives you, it's good enough. Even if the limb is bent a little bit, you still have this 45 degree. And what you do is you put it down and you mark it, and remember, you mark it so it goes down towards the handle. You flip it over, and again, you bring this down to the corner here, and you mark it down towards the handle, okay? Okay, let me show you. Okay, see? This is the back of the bow, which is away from you, all right? And then what we're going to do to start this, I'm going to take this belt sander off so I could strap this on the table and have a nice even cut. This is a tile saw, and it's small. I wish they had a bigger one, but it's good enough so you could put a nice cut, a nice angle. Okay, let me show you. It's good enough that you could cut a nice angle in here. And then I have a rasp, a small rasp, that once there's a channel in here cut, a groove to follow, I'll use that small rat tail, really small, to cut it deeper. And then I have a chainsaw file, which is a little smoother, a little thinner, and I'll finish off with that. Okay, this is that tile saw that's on a regular hacksaw blade. It's thinner than we want for a string groove, but it's going to make a channel. Now, there's things you could do. You could actually put a block of wood on and clamp it as a guide, but make sure it's snug so that the wood don't move and you mess it up. Or you could just, I use my thumbnail just to start it and follow it. And there we go, we're making a channel. We're making a 45. Go wipe it off and see. Okay, we're making the groove that we want to start, okay? Now, just so you know, on this one, I started cutting, okay? I started cutting, and you could see the a hair of the line there. So in other words, this blade, as I started cutting, is on the bottom of that line. Okay, and that's what I'm going to do on the other side too. Okay. Okay, and just to show you, see I got a channel here, and this is the rat tail I'm going to use. Now the rat tail's aggressive, and we just follow that groove, that channel, and it's going to take a lot of material. And what we're going to do is go down to at least half the thickness of this rat tail. Okay, and what we're actually going to do is get, after we make this channel, we're going to go get the regular chainsaw file, and I'm going to cut a little deeper. And what I do is I use a regular string and put the string in, and you don't want that string sticking out. You don't want to feel, oh, the string's sticking out. You want that string to be in that groove, okay? You want it to be in there. You do not want the string sticking up so it pops off. You want it deep in that groove, okay? I'm gonna cut the other three, and I'll get back. Okay, here's the rat tail. Here's the chainsaw file. It's a little thinner, a little smoother, okay? Go down, you want it wrapped around, nice. Don't want no sharp corners, but keep it in line with that angle. Okay, smoother it goes around, okay? Just how to show you the chainsaw file. Okay, the string grooves are cut. Okay, you see this blocky end here? All the string pressure is laying from the groove down. And this here you could shape to a diamond, a point, anything you want. But for the tillering process, I leave it bulky and see how it bends and all. And if you have to make one string groove a little deeper than the other, you could do that, okay? So, you know, we'll fit the string, make sure the string lays in there flush. It's got to be flush. Okay, flush, and we'll start tillering. Okay, I have this tillering board that my friend Cliff made. I actually have another one coming that, so I didn't have to make one for myself. And you see how it's centered? And I put a wedge so it's more forward. Okay, once again the string is loose, it's supposed to be loose. And we're going to pull it down. And we're going to look at how it's tillered. Okay, now I'm going to put it like this, and we're going to step back, and you're going to see where we got to take the limbs down, okay? Okay. So this limb here is bending pretty equal, and this is a hinge point. So I have to take a lot off it. Okay, I put it against the siding of the house so you can see a little better. Material has to come off this end, even though it's all bending pretty nice this side. Material's got to come off this end, okay, from here down. And then we got that hinge point. Okay, it's really tough, you know, sometimes you do the best you can, but you're not going to get it perfect whenever you have this crazy grain twist. But from here down, I got to lighten it. And a little bit here, I'm not going to even touch here. I'm just going to do down there. Okay? If I was to guess, it's in the 40 plus pound range now. And we got to go down to 35 pounds, so I'm not worried about taking off material. Yeah, I've been working on it. This is like after several times. And whenever you have this weird joint, you're always going to have a problem with the tiller. It's always going to cause like a hinge. and I'm going to keep on working it because I got more weight than I need to try and get this to flex. But at some point, you'll have to accept the fact that maybe you can't get it perfectly tilled, and that bow is what that bow is. But look, it's coming along, okay? It's almost at the point, I would say, where I can make a string and put a string on it. So I'll see. I don't think I could twist this one up enough. But once we get a string to the brace height, then we can really fine tune it and check the weight. Okay, I didn't realize when I went in to make a string, I was like dehydrated, hungry. I was out here for 3 hours working on this thing. And to be honest with you, when I marked these high spots, I went over to my Ryobi 36-inch belt sander, and I gently took off a little bit to where I wanted, tried it back and forth. So I didn't have to go crazy with the draw knife and have a chance of cutting through the wood. I didn't have to use the rasp. And look at it. I mean, it's got that crazy hinge. I told you can never get it perfect. But look, I got the brace height is almost 7 now, right? So it could be 6.5, 7. But look at it. You know, it's bending pretty nice, right? I'll go down a little bit just to watch it. Okay, take a look. We got ourselves a bow here. We got ourselves a bow. It's around 37 or so at my draw length. You know, I checked it with the little hand scale I have here, and all I'm going to do now is it's going on the bench, and I'm going to use the little metal scrapers there, and I'm going to sand it a little bit. I'm going to put the shelf in, sculpt the handle, and then I'm thinking about putting recurve tips on. But it's a 60 comes out to like 62-inch bow now. It's a little smaller. My other 62. So if I put recurve tips on, they're going to be less. So I'll have to really think if I have to make another jig or if I could just block it up and bend it a little shorter. All right, but what I'm going to do is shape it, scrape it with the cabinet scrapers, sand it, and we'll get back to you. But look, success so far. You know, so far anything could happen. Okay, I'm done. I'm going to just sand it now. You know, a lot of sanding, steel wool, but I shaped the tips. Okay, and all I did was go on the belt sander, and you just lift it up, and then on you know, the back of the bow is the part that faces away from you, and the belly's close to you. You just taper it up a little bit. That's all. Okay. So the tips are done, sanded. Here's my shelf. I love these with the shelf. And see how I use the curve of the belt sander? So my hand goes in here. See on the other side, there's another curve where my thumb goes, okay? The back has a curve for my hand to set in the pocket, okay? And that's it. We did it. Here's my 3D bow. I'm gonna put a string on it just to give you a measurement. Oh, the wind's gonna blow now. I'm gonna put a string on it. I'm going to draw back to my draw length, and I'll tell you what the weight is. Okay, once again, I was fortunate I had a recurve string that was already made, and I'll make a proper string for this. And the difference between a recurve and a longbow string is usually the loops are a little smaller, but when you make your own strings, it don't matter, you can make them custom. So this actually fits pretty good because it's got a wider tip. Okay, look, we got it set, we checked. Brace height, grip. Where's my, see what the brace height is on this here now? With the new throat I cut. Okay, it's 6 3/4, and that's usually what I like. I like it like 6 3/4. So I may just shoot the string for a day or two, you know, after I sand it and get it good. Okay, here we go. clear. All right, and remember I told you a bow could break at any time? Well, that's the end of this bow. The glue didn't hold and the bow cracked. So, firewood. Okay, I'm gluing that crack. I used it, spread it open with a little finishing nail. Got the JB weld in there, which is supposed to be the strongest there is. And then I made a veneer with the new bandsaw, which is very inaccurate. Took me a long time to get this, and then I sanded it thin. Okay, we're making a veneer here. And I'm gonna go cut it out, and that's gonna lay on the top of this like a sandwich there. Give it a little more support. And then I'm gonna put the back on the bow. Actually the handle on the belly of the bow. Okay, so I made and shaped this oak veneer. And what we're gonna do is I'm gonna lay this oak veneer right down here on this and glue it up and let it set before I put the handle on. Okay, besides gluing the crack, I glued this oak veneer. I had a piece of oak from flooring, and I cut it with the bandsaw, which is a chore. It's a Harbor Freight, and the table don't even line up square with the blade, but I managed to do it and sand it on the belt sander and pre-cut it. So I got this oak veneer. You know, I'll have to just trim it, you know, sand it up once it's done, but I got this drying. This glue sets in, it's supposed to be like an hour or so. It's 5. So, you know, maybe 7 o'clock, I'll glue the bottom and then once I put that bottom on, I'm gonna let the clamps and everything set overnight. But the crack held when I took it off, and now this veneer. And then I'm gonna be brave and pull it back a whole bunch of times and shoot it and see if it cracks. So maybe I fixed it. Maybe I saved this disappointing bow. Okay, this is the bow that I made. It looked beautiful. It has a bunch of little pin knots in it. And I really thought it was going to be an incredible bow. And the only problem was the grip area was too small. So I had to glue a block on and shape it together. So I saw everybody use that Type Bond 3. And I used that Type Bond 3 on here. And let it cure. And after 24 hours, I shaped it and I finished tillering it, and it came out good. I pulled it back with the scale. It was 37 pounds at my draw length, which is what I wanted. I wanted a 3D bow. And when I put the video on to, you know, to record the weight again, it show you the bow, it sounded like a 22 going off, crack. And what happened was the glue didn't hold. The block fell off, and once the block fell off, the wood splintered a little bit. So I said, well, that's it, it's firewood. I sent the video to the guy I bought the stave from, and he's a nice guy. You know, the fact that the glue didn't hold has nothing to do with him. And he says, yeah, that happens sometimes. He said, I heard stories, sometimes the glue just don't hold. And I cleaned both sides, sanded both sides, so had a great surface, clamped it, weighted, just didn't hold. So he said he'd send me another stave. He says, don't worry about it, I'm gonna send you another stave. I said, all right, thank you, I appreciate it. No charge, you know. So I said, let me try a few things here. So I had supposed to be the strongest epoxy there is, the JB Weld, and the JB Weld Clear. And what I did was mix them up, and I put it in a little, I used a finishing nail to separate the joints, forced it in, closed it, clamped it, I let that dry for a couple hours. And then what I did was I put that JB weld on the handle, okay? So I says, okay, I need something on the top to keep it from lifting up, to distribute the pressure if it flexes again. So I had a piece of oak flooring board, and I got this cheap bandsaw from Harbor Freight, but you know, I was able to draw a little line and push it and cut a veneer, and I shaped the veneer. So there's an oak veneer. This oak veneer is held on with that JB Weld clear too. Okay, so then after the 24 hours, I looked at it and I says, I don't know, let me look at that handle. Let me grab that handle and twist it. I went like, twisting it, and it popped off. And I went, oh, great. Great, the handle popped off, and I got this veneer that took me forever to make and shape and cut, glued on with the JB Weld, and so was the crack. So I did a little more research, and I sanded the handle area and behind the, you know, the belly of the bow. I sanded that again, nice and smooth, so it had a tight fit. And did a little research, and they said that the Gorilla wood glue, that was the ultimate wood glue, works really well. So now this handle is glued on with that. But this laminate, the oak laminate, and the crack was glued with that JB Weld. So I'm saying I got less than a 10% chance of this working, okay? But here we are. I'm gonna string it, and we can listen. If it cracks, that's it. I'm telling you, it's going right in the firewood. So let's see where we can get this, where you can see me string it. Okay. Okay. You can feel, you know, it's strong. There's a lot of pressure here, right? It's got the right brace height and all. All right, now, I have a feeling it's going to break. When I pull this back, I have a feeling it's going to break. Here's the crack. See the crack here? That's glued, okay? You're going to get to watch the bow break and smack me in the head, okay? I'm going to just try and gently draw back and see if I hear any noises. Well, I drew it back to my anchor. I didn't hear no creaking or cracking. I'm going to throw a knock on it, and I'm going to take a couple shots. Okay, I'm going to take a couple of shots. Hopefully I'll get to take a couple of shots without it whacking me in the head. But here we go. Okay, I'm touching arrows. Let's check out this crack, see if it's spread a little bit. Okay. It's hard to tell. I think it may be spreading. It may be spreading a little bit. I think that crack may be spreading. You know, I have another stave coming anyway, you know. But at least I had the pleasure of taking a few shots with this. You see the pin knots, how nice it came out. And it's real hard to till around those pin knots. I may take a couple of more shots. I wonder if I could get some glue in there and reclamp it. Take some more shots, I'll get back to you. Okay, I can see it spreading a little bit more, and it looks like the laminate's coming off too. So we're done. I'm gonna unstring it, and I think that's the end of it. Okay, so before you saw that the bow was starting to separate and the lamination was starting to come up. Well, I managed to pull off the lamination. I managed to open up the crack, and I had this other JB weld. This JB weld that had metal particles in it, and cured that you could use it in 6 hours, okay? It's set in 20 minutes. So I put it in, it's been over 6 hours, and we're gonna string it now, and we're gonna see. I just can't give up on this thing yet. I know it's crazy, but you put 40 hours into a bow, all right? So I strung it, all right? And then we're gonna pull it back for us to see. Okay, no separation so far. Okay, ribbon arrow. Like I said, I got the other stave coming, but I just don't want to, you know, give up unless I tried everything I could to fix it. Okay, let's try another one. It's really crazy accurate. Okay. So far, it has not separated or delaminated. Maybe that was the answer. All right, so I won't bore you with shooting it, but I definitely gonna shoot about 50 arrows out of this when I can, and see, I may have saved the bow with my oak veneer and the correct, I guess you could fix anything if you have the correct epoxy or glue, all right? So that's it. See how, I'll give you an update after I shoot it a bunch of times. Okay, so far so good with the bow. Watch my other videos on Bare Bow Joe. You never know what I'm gonna post. Like and subscribe.